Why would beings created in perfect glory rebel against their own creator? What we're about to uncover about the angels' rebellion against God will challenge everything you thought you knew about heaven's greatest crisis. This isn't a simple Sunday school story. After examining rare theological manuscripts, ancient Hebrew texts, and previously overlooked historical records, we've discovered stunning insights about this cosmic uprising that shaped our universe. Working with leading biblical scholars and drawing from over 3 millennia of religious thought, we've pieced together the real story behind heaven's darkest hour. By the end of this journey, you'll understand the true catalyst that turned perfect beings against divine authority, why Lucifer's argument was compelling enough to sway 1/3 of heaven, how this ancient rebellion continues to echo through human history, what this means for your own spiritual journey today. Join us as we unveil what really happened when angels rebelled against God, a story that will transform your understanding of the eternal battle between good and evil. Part 1. The Divine Darkness Before. Imagine for a moment standing at the dawn of all creation. Before the first ray of sunlight pierced the darkness of space, before the first grain of cosmic dust formed into stars, there existed a realm of such incomprehensible beauty that human language can barely capture its essence. This was heaven in its original glory. A dimension where light wasn't just visible but tangible, where music wasn't merely heard but experienced in waves of pure celestial energy. In this pristine beginning, God undertook his first great act of creation, the formation of the angels. The book of Ezekiel provides us with an extraordinary glimpse into this moment, describing these beings as living light, each one sealed with divine perfection. But these weren't simple beings of light and energy. They were complex, magnificent creatures with distinct personalities, roles, and powers that would make even our most advanced technology seem primitive by comparison. The heavenly hierarchy was a masterpiece of divine organization. Picture vast celestial courts arranged in concentric circles around God's throne, each level hosting different orders of angels. The outer courts buzzed with the activities of countless angels, their forms shifting between pure light and magnificent shapes as they carried out their divine assignment. The middle courts housed the more powerful angels, the principalities, powers, and dominions, who managed the cosmic forces that would eventually govern the physical universe. But it was the inner court that truly defied description. Here, the highest orders of angels dwelt in God's immediate presence. The seraphim, as Isaiah witnessed, were beings of such intense holiness that they covered their faces with 2 of their 6 wings, their very essence burning with divine fire. Each movement they made sent ripples of praise through the fabric of creation, their continuous cry of "Holy, holy, holy," resonating with such power that, as Isaiah describes, the very foundations of heaven trembled. The cherubim, positioned as guardians of divine holiness, were perhaps the most complex of all angelic beings. Ezekiel's vision reveals them as having 4 faces: human, lion, ox, and eagle, each representing different aspects of God's creation. Their bodies were covered with eyes, symbolizing their complete awareness of both spiritual and material realms. When they moved like lightning, their wings creating sounds like mighty waters. But among all these extraordinary beings, one stood supreme, Lucifer, whose very name meant light-bearer or morning star. The scriptures paint an almost overwhelming picture of his beauty. His body was adorned with every precious stone known to creation: ruby, topaz, emerald, chrysolite, onyx, jasper, sapphire, turquoise, and beryl. But these weren't mere decorations. Each gem pulsed with living light, creating patterns of color that shifted and changed with his movements, reflecting and amplifying the glory of God in ways that made even other angels pause in wonder. As the anointed cherub who covered God's throne, Lucifer's position was unique. Imagine him standing at the very apex of created beings, his wings spread over the throne of God, his presence casting prismatic light throughout the heavenly courts. The book of Ezekiel reveals something even more extraordinary. Musical instruments were actually created within his very being. Every movement he made produced celestial harmonies. Every gesture conducted the grand symphony of heaven. The divine order under Lucifer's leadership was a marvel of perfect synchronization. Picture millions of angels moving in perfect harmony, their voices blending in songs that could shape reality itself. When they sang of light, stars would burst into existence. When they sang of power, galaxies would spiral into being. Job 38:7 tells us that these morning stars sang together as they witnessed the foundation of earth being laid, their joy expressing itself in cosmic creativity. But within this perfect order lay the seeds of its potential disruption. God in his wisdom had created the angels with free will, the ability to choose. This wasn't an oversight or a design flaw. It was essential for genuine relationship and worship. Without the ability to choose, their service would have been mere programming, their praise nothing more than automated responses. True love, true worship, required the possibility of choice. And here is where our story takes its first dramatic turn. Lucifer, standing at the pinnacle of created beings, began to experience something unprecedented in the history of creation. With each song of praise he conducted, with each admiring glance from his fellow angels, with each reflection of his own magnificent beauty, something subtle began to shift in his consciousness. His beauty, meant to reflect God's glory, became a source of personal fascination. His wisdom, intended for divine service, became a tool for questioning the very order he was meant to maintain. The perfect harmony of heaven was about to face its greatest test. As Lucifer gazed upon his own reflection in the crystal sea before God's throne, a question began to form in his mind, a question that would shake the foundations of creation itself. As we delve deeper into this cosmic drama, we'll see how Lucifer's growing self-awareness evolved into something far more dangerous. The transformation of heaven's most exalted angel into God's adversary reveals profound truths about the nature of pride, the cost of rebellion, and the eternal consequences of our choices. But to truly understand the magnitude of what was about to unfold, we must first explore the unique position Lucifer held and why his eventual fall would create ripples that still affect our world today. Part 2. The Seeds of Rebellion. Imagine standing in the halls of heaven during its most glorious era. The air itself sparkled with divine light, and every surface reflected the magnificent radiance of God's throne. In this perfect realm, morning never truly came because darkness had no place here. Yet among all the celestial beings, one figure seemed to herald the dawn itself: Lucifer, the morning star. Scripture tells us in Ezekiel 28:12-13 that Lucifer was the seal of perfection, full of wisdom and perfect in beauty. Picture him as he appeared then, his form adorned with 9 precious stones, each catching and multiplying the light of God's glory. His wings, described in ancient texts as massive and iridescent, created symphonies with every movement. The Hebrew manuscripts describe his voice as containing the very essence of music itself. Each word he spoke resonated with the perfect harmonies of creation. In the divine hierarchy, Lucifer held an unmatched position. As the covering cherub, he stood in the immediate presence of God's throne. Other angels would bow in reverence as he passed through heaven's golden streets. The book of Ezekiel tells us he walked among stones of fire, believed by scholars to represent his unique access to the most sacred spaces of God's domain. His wisdom was so profound that other angels sought his counsel, and his beauty so extraordinary that his mere presence would illuminate the celestial courts. But beneath this perfect exterior, an unprecedented transformation was about to unfold. The change began subtly, like a hairline crack in a flawless diamond. During one of his appearances before God's throne, as Lucifer led the heavenly hosts in their eternal songs of praise, something shifted in his consciousness. The ancient Hebrew text suggests this moment coincided with a divine revelation about God's future plans for humanity. Isaiah 14:13-14 captures the 5 fatal thoughts that began to crystallize in Lucifer's mind. Each "I will" statement marked a deeper descent into pride. I will ascend into heaven. Though he was already there, he wanted more. I will exalt my throne above the stars of God. I will sit upon the mount of the congregation. I will sit upon the mount of the congregation. I will sit upon the mount of the congregation. I will sit upon the mount of the congregation. I will sit upon the mount of the congregation. I will ascend above the heights of the clouds. Wanting divine glory for himself. I will be like the Most High, the ultimate expression of his pride, wanting not just God's position, but his very nature. The catalyst that accelerated these thoughts came with God's announcement of humanity's creation. Picture the scene: the heavenly court assembled, angels gathered in their countless ranks, as God revealed his plan to create beings in his own image. The theological manuscripts describe Lucifer's initial reaction as one of genuine curiosity, turning to disbelief, then to something darker. He, who had served as heaven's highest angel since the dawn of creation, would be expected to bow before creatures made of dust. This revelation acted like a lens, focusing all of Lucifer's latent pride into a burning point of resentment. Ancient Jewish commentaries suggest that his first response wasn't outright rebellion, but rather a series of seemingly innocent questions posed to other angels. Have you considered the implications? Why would perfect beings like us be asked to serve imperfect ones? Surely there must be some mistake in our understanding. His influence spread like ripples in a celestial pond, but with the precision of a master strategist. Lucifer used his position as heaven's praise leader to subtly introduce discord into the heavenly harmonies. The same voice that once led angels in worship now seeded doubts in private conversations. His arguments were masterfully crafted, drawing on his perfect wisdom to present compelling alternatives to divine authority. The transformation of heaven's hierarchy began gradually but accelerated with terrible momentum. Revelation 12:04 tells us that Lucifer eventually swayed 1/3 of heaven's angels, a number so vast it challenges comprehension. These weren't just any angels. They were beings who had witnessed God's glory firsthand, yet found themselves drawn to Lucifer's alternative vision. As his following grew, Lucifer's subtle questions evolved into a sophisticated ideology. He began to envision a new cosmic order, one where angels would rule according to their own wisdom rather than serve according to divine command. His perfect understanding of heavenly administration became the blueprint for his proposed revolution. In private gatherings far from the throne of God, he painted pictures of a universe where angels would be free to exercise their own authority, unbound by divine restrictions. The tension in heaven reached unprecedented levels. Angels who had existed in perfect harmony since creation now found themselves divided. Some remained steadfast in their loyalty to God, while others were increasingly swayed by Lucifer's arguments. The celestial atmosphere, once filled only with praise, now crackled with unspoken Yet even as his rebellion grew, Lucifer maintained his appearances before God's throne. Ancient texts describe these moments as increasingly charged with unspoken tension, the morning star still leading worship while harboring thoughts of usurpation. This double life would soon reach its breaking point, leading to a confrontation that would reshape the cosmic order forever. As heaven stood on the precipice of its first civil war, the next moments would reveal the full extent of Lucifer's ambition and unleash consequences that would echo through eternity. The stage was set for a battle that would transform the morning star into the adversary and create ripples that would affect every living being, including humanity, for all time. Part 3. The spread of celestial discord. When perfect unity shattered. Picture heaven before the fall. an infinite expanse of pure light and divine glory, where countless angels moved in perfect synchronization, their beings radiating with purpose and joy. The celestial atmosphere pulsed with harmonious worship, each angel's voice contributing to an eternal symphony of praise. In this realm of absolute perfection, Lucifer, the morning star, stood as its crowning achievement, a being of such extraordinary beauty that his mere presence caused others to pause in wonder. Ancient Hebrew manuscripts describe Lucifer's appearance in breathtaking detail, his form draped in light like a garment, wings that shimmered with every color imaginable, and eyes that held the depth of cosmic wisdom. The book of Ezekiel paints him as covered in precious stones, ruby, topaz, emerald, and 9 others, each reflecting divine light in unique ways. His voice, according to early theological texts, carried a musical quality that could make the very foundations of heaven resonate. But everything changed when God revealed his master plan for creation. In the great assembly of angels, God announced his intention to create beings in his own image, humans. The Dead Sea Scrolls provide a fascinating account of this moment. As the divine proclamation echoed through heaven's halls, a subtle shift occurred in Lucifer's countenance. For the first time in celestial history, the perfect light in his eyes dimmed ever so slightly. The transformation began slowly, almost imperceptibly. Lucifer started spending more time in the far reaches of heaven, in places the ancient texts call the outer courts. Here, away from the direct presence of the throne, he would engage other high-ranking angels in what appeared to be innocent philosophical discussions. The Book of Enoch describes these gatherings in detail. Angels seated in circles, their faces illuminated by their own radiance, listening intently as Lucifer posed questions that had never before been asked in heaven. "Consider our nature," he would say, his voice carrying that mesmerizing musical quality. "We who were created first, who understand the deepest mysteries of creation, who possess power beyond measure, why should we bow to lesser beings?" The ancient manuscripts tell us how he would pause here, allowing his words to sink in before continuing, "Are we not worthy of more than mere servitude?" His strategy was brilliantly calculated. He began with the seraphim and cherubim, angels of the highest orders who already held positions of great authority. These beings, who commanded vast celestial armies and oversaw the operations of the cosmos, were particularly susceptible to his logic. Early Jewish tradition suggests that Lucifer would often approach them individually, adapting his arguments to appeal to each one's specific doubts and desires. To the seraphim, who guided the movements of stars, he whispered of greater autonomy in shaping the universe. To the cherubim, who guarded sacred knowledge, he spoke of wisdom that God supposedly withheld from them. Each conversation was a masterpiece of manipulation, building on the natural pride these powerful beings took in their abilities and positions. The spread of descent followed a pattern detailed in several ancient texts. It began at the highest levels and worked its way through the celestial hierarchies like a slow-moving tide. Angels who had once found complete fulfillment in their service began to see their duties differently. The thrones who upheld divine justice started questioning the fairness of their position. The dominions who regulated the duties of lower angels began to resent their administrative role. What made Lucifer's rebellion particularly insidious was his ability to present disobedience as enlightenment. "We're not betraying our nature," he would argue, his voice filled with conviction. "We're fulfilling it. We're becoming what we were always meant to be." The Book of Jubilees suggests that he even twisted God's own words, arguing that the desire for equality with God was itself proof of their right to it. The numbers grew beyond imagination. Revelation's account of 1/3 of heaven's angels joining the rebellion translates to millions upon millions of celestial beings. Each decision to rebel sent shockwaves through the spiritual realm. Angels who had served together since the dawn of creation found themselves divided. The harmony of heaven gave way to an atmosphere thick with tension and uncertainty. As the movement grew, so did Lucifer's boldness. Isaiah records his 5 infamous declarations, each more audacious than the last, culminating in the statement that would forever alter the cosmos. "I will make myself like the Most High." These words, spoken in the outer courts, reverberated through heaven like thunder, marking the point of no return. The final phase of this tragic transformation came when Lucifer gathered his followers for what ancient texts call the Great Declaration. Picture the scene. Countless angels assembled in the far reaches of heaven, their combined light rivaling the throne itself. Here, Lucifer revealed his full plan, not just equality with God, but a new order entirely. He promised them freedom from divine authority, the power to shape reality according to their own desires, and positions of authority in his new kingdom. What these angels failed to understand, what Lucifer in his pride had forgotten, was that their very existence depended on the one they sought to overthrow. They had mistaken God's patience for weakness, his love for vulnerability. As Michael, the faithful archangel, became aware of the full scope of this rebellion, heaven faced its first choice between loyalty and betrayal. The stage was set for a conflict that would tear through the fabric of creation itself, leading to a battle that would define the nature of good and evil for all eternity. Part 4. The Great Celestial War. The heavens trembled as an unprecedented scene unfolded across its infinite expanse. For the first time since creation, the celestial realm was divided. On one side stood Michael, the mighty archangel, his presence radiating divine authority as he led the armies of faithful angels. On the opposite front, Lucifer, still bearing his heavenly beauty but now twisted by pride, commanded his forces. 1/3 of heaven's host, who had chosen to follow his rebellion. The book of Revelation 12:7-9 provides us a glimpse of this cosmic conflict. "And there was war in heaven. Michael and his angels fought against the dragon, and the dragon fought and his angels." But what exactly transpired in this momentous battle? Ancient Hebrew texts and early Christian manuscripts paint a vivid picture of a conflict that transcended human understanding. The war began not with clashing swords, but with Lucifer's final ultimatum. Standing before the throne of God, his beauty still unmatched, he made his declaration, "I will ascend above the heights of the clouds. I will make myself like the Most High." Isaiah 14:14. These words, spoken with unwavering pride, shattered the eternal peace of heaven. Michael's response was swift and decisive. As God's chief warrior, he understood what was at stake. The Dead Sea Scrolls War Scroll provides additional insight into Michael's role as heaven's supreme commander, describing him as the Prince of Light who stands against the forces of darkness. With divine authority, he raised his sword, not a physical weapon, but a manifestation of God's power and truth. The battle that ensued defied mortal comprehension. The prophet Daniel's visions offered glimpses of angelic warfare, describing beings of light engaging in cosmic combat. The air itself seemed to ignite as powers beyond human understanding clashed. Lucifer, who had once led heaven's choir in praise, now orchestrated a symphony of destruction. His followers, drunk on promises of freedom and power, fought with a ferocity born of pride and desperation. But they were fighting against the very source of their power. As the battle raged, a fundamental truth became clear. No created being, no matter how magnificent, could stand against the authority of the Creator. Michael's forces moved with perfect unity, each angel an instrument of divine justice. The tide turned decisively when Michael himself confronted Lucifer. Ancient rabbinical texts describe this moment in vivid detail. Lucifer, realizing the futility of his rebellion, made one last desperate attempt to seize victory. But Michael, embodying divine authority, spoke the words that would seal the rebel's fate. "Who is like unto God?" The very meaning of his name in Hebrew. These words, carrying the weight of eternal truth, shattered Lucifer's remaining power. The defeat was total and absolute. Revelation 12:12 tells us, "The great dragon was cast out, that old serpent called the devil, and Satan, which deceiveth the whole world. He was cast out into the earth, and his angels were cast out with him." The fall was both literal and metaphysical. Lucifer, the once radiant morning star, became Satan, the adversary. His followers, stripped of their celestial glory, became the fallen angels. But this was not the end of the conflict. As the defeated rebels plummeted from heaven's heights, a new chapter in the cosmic war was about to begin. Their fall transformed not only their nature but their purpose. Unable to strike directly at God, they would turn their attention to his newest creation, humanity. Eden would become their next battlefield, and the consequences of their rebellion would echo throughout human history. As the dust settled on this cosmic battlefield, the implications of this war would reach far beyond heaven's gates. The fallen angels, now demons, would bring their rebellion to earth, setting the stage for humanity's greatest challenge. Their defeat in heaven marked not the end, but the beginning of a spiritual warfare that continues to this day, a battle in which every human soul has become a contested territory. Part 5. The Eternal Consequences. The aftermath of heaven's war would echo through creation in ways that would forever change both the spiritual and physical realms. Imagine, if you will, the moment after Lucifer and his angels were cast from heaven. The celestial spheres, once unified in perfect harmony, now stood divided. But this was only the beginning of a far more profound transformation. In the book of Revelation, John describes this pivotal moment. "And the great dragon was cast out, that old serpent called the devil, and Satan, which deceiveth the whole world. He was cast out into the earth, and his angels were cast out with him." This exile wasn't merely a change of location. It marked the beginning of a fundamental shift in the cosmic order. The fallen angels, stripped of their celestial glory, underwent a horrifying transformation. These beings, once radiant with divine light, became twisted shadows of their former selves. Their very nature warped by their rebellion, they became what ancient texts call powers and principalities of darkness. Hebrew manuscripts describe this transformation in chilling detail. Their light-bearing essence corrupted into darkness, their songs of praise turned to discordant howls of rage. But the most profound consequence would unfold in the Garden of Eden. Here, Satan, still burning with hatred for God, found a new way to strike back at his Creator. Unable to directly challenge God's power, he turned his attention to God's newest creation, humanity. The book of Genesis records this moment, when the cosmic conflict spilled into human history. Picture the scene. Eden, a paradise of perfect harmony. Here, Adam and Eve walked in innocent communion with God. But Satan, appearing as a serpent, saw an opportunity. With carefully chosen words that echoed his own rebellious thoughts, he planted seeds of doubt in Eve's mind. Did God really say, "With what yawa now? We bertha heath sim bilius ment slothers hardas moot." Did God really say, "With what Willius simt, Willius ma?" The fall of humanity wasn't just a simple act of disobedience. It was the extension of heaven's war into the human realm. Through this single act, Satan achieved what must have seemed like a bitter victory. He had corrupted God's image-bearers, introducing death and chaos into God's perfect creation. But the consequences reached even further. The physical world itself was affected. The ground was cursed, paradise was lost, and creation groaned under the weight of corruption. Ancient Hebrew scholars write of how the very fabric of reality was altered, the perfect harmony of creation disturbed by discordant notes of chaos and decay. Yet, in this darkest moment, something unexpected emerged, something that would terrify Satan himself. God announced a plan, hidden since the foundation of the world. Speaking to the serpent, he proclaimed, I will put enmity between you and the woman, and between your offspring and hers. He will crush your head, and you will strike his heel. This prophecy would later be fulfilled in Christ, revealing that God had anticipated this rebellion and prepared a response that would transform defeat into victory. This cosmic drama continues to unfold today. The spiritual realm, once hidden from human eyes, intersects with our world in ways both subtle and profound. Every human choice, every moral decision plays out against the backdrop of this ancient conflict. The fallen angels, now demons, continue their campaign of deception, while divine forces work to protect and guide humanity toward redemption. Ancient manuscripts speak of how these fallen beings, unable to create but only corrupt, work tirelessly to distort God's creation. They whisper lies, plant doubts, and seek to turn hearts away from divine truth. Yet their power is limited. Bound by divine decree, they can only operate within prescribed boundaries. The implications of this cosmic rebellion reach into every aspect of human existence. From the struggles of individual souls to the grand sweep of human history, nothing remains untouched by this primordial conflict. Yet, unlike the fallen angels, whose choice was final and irrevocable, humanity exists in a state of possibility. Each soul free to choose its allegiance in this cosmic drama. As we transition to understanding our role in this ongoing spiritual battle, remember that these consequences aren't just ancient history, they're the backdrop against which our own stories unfold. In the next section, we'll explore how this understanding can empower us to navigate our own spiritual journey with greater wisdom and purpose. Part 6. Lessons for today. Imagine standing in the Garden of Eden at the precise moment when Eve approached the forbidden tree. The air was thick with tension as the serpent, Satan himself, the fallen Lucifer, began his crafty manipulation. This wasn't just any conversation, it was the first demonstration of how the celestial rebellion would directly impact human destiny. The parallels between this ancient scene and our modern struggles are striking, and they reveal timeless lessons about the nature of choice and consequence. In the original Hebrew texts, the word used to describe Satan's approach, nachash, carries a deeper meaning than simply serpent. It suggests something brilliant, shining, and mesmerizing, much like Lucifer's original form. This fallen angel, who once stood in God's presence, now used his celestial intelligence to present Eve with what appeared to be a reasonable proposition. Did God really say you must not eat from any tree in the garden? This seemingly innocent question mirrors the very doubts that led to Lucifer's own fall. In the book of Isaiah, chapter 14, verses 13 to 14, we find Lucifer's 5 fatal declarations. I will ascend to heaven. I will raise my throne above the stars of God. I will sit enthroned on the mount of assembly. I will ascend above the tops of the clouds. I will make myself like the Most High. Each statement reveals a progressive spiral of pride that ultimately led to his downfall. But here's where human destiny diverges dramatically from that of the fallen angels. While Lucifer and his followers made their choice with full knowledge and understanding of God's nature, humans were given something unique, the capacity for redemption. The book of Hebrews explicitly states that Christ came to help Abraham's descendants, not angels. This fundamental difference reveals a profound truth about divine mercy and human potential. Consider the story of King David, a man who committed grievous sins yet found restoration through genuine repentance. His journey from shepherd to king to adulterer to restored servant of God illustrates the remarkable difference between angelic and human capacity for redemption. While the fallen angel's choice was irrevocable, David's psalm of repentance, Psalm 51, becomes a testament to the power of human free will and divine forgiveness. This brings us to a crucial understanding for our modern world. Every day, we face choices that echo the original rebellion. When we choose pride over humility, self-glorification over service, or independence from divine guidance, we're replaying the same drama that unfolded in heaven eons ago. Yet, Unlike the fallen angels, we have the extraordinary privilege of second chances. The Dead Sea Scrolls, particularly the War Scroll, speak of an ongoing cosmic battle between the sons of light and the sons of darkness. This ancient text reveals that the early Jewish community understood that the angelic rebellion wasn't just a historical event, but a continuing reality that shapes our daily choices. In our modern context, this understanding takes on new significance. When we face ethical dilemmas at work, navigate complex relationships, or struggle with moral decisions, we're not just making isolated choices. We're participating in this ongoing cosmic drama. The pride that led to Lucifer's fall can manifest in our lives through subtle forms: intellectual arrogance, spiritual independence, or moral compromise. But here's the transformative truth. While angels made their choice once and for all, we have the privilege of choosing again and again. Every morning brings new opportunities to align ourselves with divine purpose or to follow our own path. This is both our greatest responsibility and our most precious gift. The ancient Jewish mystics spoke of tikkun olam, the repair of the world. While the angels' rebellion created cosmic disorder, humans have been given the extraordinary opportunity to participate in the restoration of divine harmony through our choices and actions. As we conclude this exploration of celestial rebellion and human destiny, remember this: your daily choices may seem small, but they ripple through the fabric of creation. The same pride that felled the morning star can corrupt our hearts, but unlike the fallen angels, we have been given the precious gift of renewal. In every moment of decision we stand at a crossroads, similar to that faced by the angels long ago. But with one crucial difference: our story isn't yet fully written. This understanding should fill us with both solemn responsibility and profound hope. Each choice we make either aligns us with the harmony of heaven or echoes the ancient discord of rebellion, yet through it all the possibility of redemption remains our unique and precious inheritance. As we've journeyed through this ancient story of rebellion and its modern implications, we're left with a profound question. How will we use our unique gift of choice? The answer to this question doesn't just affect our individual lives, it ripples through the cosmic struggle that began with the first angel's fall. The story of the angels' rebellion isn't just ancient history, it's a mirror reflecting the choices we face every day. As we stand here in 2025, the battle between light and darkness continues, and each of us plays a crucial role in this ongoing cosmic drama. Ask yourself, which side of this eternal struggle do you stand on? When pride whispers its seductive promises, when the allure of rebellion beckons, what choice will you make? Remember, unlike the fallen angels, your story isn't set in stone. You have the power to choose your path in every moment. I'm curious to hear your thoughts on this profound spiritual journey we've shared today. What aspects of the angels' rebellion resonated most deeply with you? Share your reflections in the comments below. Perhaps your insights will help others understand their own spiritual journey better. Has this story changed your perspective on the nature of good and evil? How do you see this ancient rebellion playing out in our modern world? If you found value in today's exploration of cosmic truth, consider becoming part of our growing community of spiritual seekers. By subscribing to City on a Mountain, you'll join thousands of others who are passionate about uncovering the deeper meanings behind ancient spiritual mysteries. Hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. We have more fascinating revelations coming that you won't want to miss. Remember, every week we delve into profound spiritual truths that can transform your understanding of both the divine and your own place in this grand cosmic narrative. Your presence here matters, and your engagement helps build a community dedicated to spiritual growth and understanding. Thank you for joining me on this extraordinary journey through one of heaven's most dramatic moments. Until our next exploration, stay faithful, stay curious, and remember, in the grand cosmic battle between good and evil, your choices matter more than you know.